Let's come to Willy. You've listened to your sister. How do you respond to her allegations?
You know, Burundi has been coping with this slander campaign. Some Burundians are trying to tarnish the image of the country, saying that in Burundi nothing goes well. Fortunately, some of their campaigns have been destroyed. Before they were saying that the government of Burundi is arming a youth wing in Imbonerakure, that they have been trained in the DRC Congo in order to come back in Burundi and kill some citizens.
And comparing them with the Rwandan
Interahamwe. But at the end of the day, they found that this narrative was false, completely false. The people who have been shooting, killing people, they are from the opposition. Those who are being arrested, disarmed, are people from the opposition. So finally, this narrative collapsed. So they are all the time trying to bring in another narrative. Remember, they said in the police, we have Interahamwe, we have FDLR from Rwanda. The first person who has been caught, they found that he was a French citizen, a Burundian, but who is French. But they were about to kill him. Fortunately, he has been saved. But the second one, we found that he was someone from Uganda working for a telecom company. So finally, they said, this cannot work. So in Burundi, there's no FDLR, no Interahamwe. They continued to find out some other ways to tarnish Burundi. This is the reason why now they are bringing in this rape story. She's my sister. I respect her as my sister. I've got women in my life. I've got a mother, I've got a wife, I've got daughters, I've got sisters. So in Burundi, we respect a woman. We cannot say that there's no rape in Burundi. We cannot say there is no rape in America, in France, in Africa, and other countries. This can happen. But to link it with the current crisis, I think it's only lies. The only person that I have seen myself being raped, she was a woman, a lady from the ruling party. She has been abused and savagely killed. She didn't make a statement. No one from international media has covered it. It's like that woman had to be killed, and it's normal. And finally, 2 or 3 months later, we saw some comments on Radio France International, a woman claiming that she has been abused by the police. Security forces have dismissed this report. And finally, we got also other reports saying there are a lot of women that are being raped by youth wing Imbonerakure and some policemen that behave like a gang. I can assure you that this is not happening in my country. Yes, I believe rape can be used as a weapon, but in Burundi, it's not the case. Rape can be also used by women as a weapon. I've seen here in America, when you are campaigning, people come out and say, I've been raped, I've been abused 30 years ago. This can be true or wrong, but I'm telling you that rape in all the sides can be used as a weapon. So for now, they are using it as a weapon to continue the campaign of slander against Burundi. The government of Burundi takes these allegations seriously and all the time investigates to check whether it's true or wrong.
Is it possible that perhaps you probably don't know the fundamental root causes of why Burundi is where it is today, meaning that you may in fact be dealing with symptoms of a problem, frankly, that you have hardly identified. Because if you had identified the fundamental root causes of your problems, frankly, you should be reasonably in control of the affairs of your country, specifically the capital.
Absolutely.
We know the fundamental, we know the root of our problems.
What is it?
Wow. You know, those persons who are behind this campaign of distortion, of lies, of slander, those persons have tried even to overthrow elected institutions. They started by spreading false informations, false stories, and finally they went into the streets trying to barricade roads, to burn tires, vehicles, even individuals.
But some of these guys, Willy,
yeah,
are your former comrades, your former colleagues. People like Rajab, for example.
Yeah, Rajab is. Let me finish my point about the source, the origin of the conflict. You know, if you look at everything that is happening in Burundi, when you come in Burundi, you see that the real situation on the ground is much different from the situation that is spread on the internet.
You're talking about the countryside.
Yeah, I'm talking not only the countryside, even in Bujumbura, because you talked when we started this show. You talked about Musaga,
specific areas, really, in the suburbs
yes,
of the
about
country.
Nyakabiga. They are neighborhoods like hills.
Right.
In Burundi, we have more than 3,000 hills.
We don't hear about Kamenge anymore.
Yeah, but
in
we
the
have
90s, we heard about Kamenge.
We have more than 3,000 hills. When these things are happening in 4 or 5 hills out of 3,000, it means, yes, it's a problem, but we have to address those issues according to our laws, our constitution, because it came from people who didn't want to follow the path of democracy. Because in democracy, you have to respect the decision of the people. Those persons cannot say they represent the entire country. It's impossible. This is the reason why when they fail on this battle, they find another way to continue to harm and distort information.
I see.
And this slander campaign really exists.
I see.
So this is the reason why she brought in another campaign of ethnicity, saying people who are being killed are people from one ethnic group. But how this can come in a country where we have in the army 50% Hutus and 50% Tutsis, in the police the same thing, in the government we have Hutus and Tutsis, and in all the sectors of the life of the country, the Hutus and Tutsis are there. Only them can see this ethnicity.
Carine, I don't know, of course, what you would say about that. Maybe you, in fact, say it is perhaps sharing power between those individuals who are involved. Are you persuaded, convinced by his argument?
Oh, absolutely not.
And why not?
Let me just go through a couple of things he said. Well, first of all, I find it a bit offensive as a Burundian that we would compare the situation in Burundi to other countries. Because I believe that Burundi, the Burundian crisis, is very distinct, has its own characteristics, embedded within a Burundian problem. So, and the countries he mentioned, France and US, and they're not having people who are wandering in the streets and the forest of their neighboring countries. So it's on behalf of those who are not here, who are bedridden and who are scattered throughout the region. I find it a bit offensive. But let me just say something. I think Mr. Nyamitwe said something very interesting. He said, well, we know our problems, but we still have problems. I want to link it to the efforts of regional organs like the EAC and the African Union who have been calling for some solutions. Now,
East African Community,
for instance,
led
the
by
protection,
President Yoweri Museveni.
the African Union, Peace and Security
Yes.
Commission has actually passed a resolution on the deployment of a prevention and protection force in
They are
Burundi.
in fact threatening to deploy 5,000 troops in Burundi.
And I think there's been other calls for an international commission of inquiry. So if indeed we have citizens killing other citizens, why not welcoming really the help of our neighbors, of the continent, of an organ which was established especially in particular to address those types of issues. That's the first point. The other point I would like to say is that on the rape issue, let's not forget that rape is not confounded in Burundi. We have figures. 48% of the women who actually fled Burundi, who are in Tanzania, have required medical care. And they've stated...
You have empirical evidence on that?
Absolutely.
No, I think she's lying.
It's very simple.
I think
one just has to go and check the UNHCR report, in a Refugee International report.
Yeah.
But of course, again, the question is going to be, well, they're also lying because, there's this whole sort of conspiracy against the government. But another thing I would like to bring in is this. The majority and the minority, people who have never wanted democracy. Now,
the minority are Hutus and Tutsis.
Right.
Yeah. In the minority, we have Hutus and Tutsis.
Okay.
Yeah,
when you talk about those two groups, where do you leave the Bagano, for example, and the Batwa, the Pygmies?
Yeah,
they're supposed to be Burundians.
Yeah, they are there.
They are Burundians.
Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, again, time is not our best ally. We'll come back to that and more later, and perhaps we should be looking at possible solutions.